guys, today I'm here to do my June wrap-up and my July TBR. I didn't get through as many books as I would have liked to in June. I'm kind of going through a little reading slump, but I'm hoping to kind of pick up my reading next month. But let's go ahead and get into what I read this month. The first one I read was Heartless by Marissa Meyer. This was a reread for me, and I decided to pick it up on audiobook because I read it in physical copy the first time. I really love the narrator for all of Marissa Meyer's books. She does a fantastic job on doing different voices for different characters but not being annoying about it. The Lunar Chronicles is my favorite series, so I could read it over and over again. But now that I've reread all of them, I think for the second time this year, I will stop and probably won't reread them again this year. But needless to say, I gave this one 5 stars. Then I picked up Fever 1793. This is a young adult book, and I think this might be a school read. One of the girls that I carpool for hates reading, but she recommended this book to me, and she said she absolutely loved it. She just turned 11, and I think she's a little young for this book, but she really loved it, so I decided to give it a try, and I absolutely hated it. The story didn't interest me to begin with, but I thought I'd give it a try anyway. This kind of reminded me of Anne Frank's diary, which I had just read last month. So I think it was probably a mistake to read these back to back. This was just a really depressing read about yellow fever, but I did give it a try, but I gave it 1 star. Then I picked up Beartown by Fredrik Backman. I had read a couple by him already, and I really loved his books. I think he does a fantastic job of describing everything that's going on, but when I got into this book, I realized that it was actually about a hockey town, and if you know me, you know that I hate everything about sports, but I thought I'd give it a try anyway because I have read one about soccer, but I just really hated everything about this book. There were a few spots at the beginning of the book that I would have marked if I had owned the book, because I really do like his writing. I did kind of do a review over on my Goodreads, so if you want to go check that out, it's linked in the description, but I gave this one 1 star. Then I picked up A Twist in Time. This is the second book in a series, the first one being A Murder in Time. This is about a modern-day FBI agent who goes to England and accidentally goes back in time to the early 1800s, and while she's there, a murder happens and she decides to figure out who the murderer was, while still trying to figure out how to get home because she's not fitting in the early 1800s in England. I can't really say a lot about the second book because it is the second in a series. I really love this book. I read the first one in a physical copy and the second one I listened to on audio. I thought the narrator did a great job on this, and I gave this one 4 stars. The last book I read in June was Andre the Giant. This is a graphic novel about Andre the Giant, the wrestler. I really didn't know a lot about him. I did watch wrestling when I was a kid, and I love him in The Princess Bride, but this was just a snippet into his life of growing up and getting into wrestling. I do think of him a little different than I did before. I found out that he was a huge alcoholic and he was not a nice person when he drank, which kind of disappointed me a bit. But other than that, I thought it was a really cute book. I liked the illustrations, and it was a little insight into his life, and I gave this one 3 stars. I've been wanting to read a Peter Heller book, so I decided to pick up The Painter. I know I should read The Dog Stars first, but I have this one on audiobook right now. This is a man who lives in Colorado and he writes about places in Colorado, so I'm really interested to see what he writes about. Then I'd like to pick up A Farewell to Arms. I have read a lot of Ernest Hemingway's books. He's one of my favorite authors, but I haven't read some of his popular books, so I thought I would pick this one up. Unfortunately, I can't find any Hemingway on audiobook, so I'm going to have to read this in physical form, but I'm really excited to get back into Hemingway. I haven't read him in so long. I also just started today An Object of Beauty by Steve Martin. I've been watching his movies recently because I'm going to be doing a movie Monday on him in the next couple weeks, and this audiobook was available on Overdrive, so I picked it up. I have read Shop Girl by him and didn't really care for it. I'm only about 6 or 7 chapters in, so I'm not very far into it yet, but I'm hoping to finish that in the next couple days. And lastly, I thought I would pull from my TBR jar. I haven't pulled from this in a few months, and I'm really wanting to get back into some classics. So these are all of my modern classics and classics, so let's see what I pull out. Okay, so I got Catcher in the Rye. I actually just had this checked out on audio, but I didn't get to it. It seems like a fairly short book, so I think I could probably get through it this month with all of the other books that I'm reading, so I'm excited to see what I think of it. If you've read this, let me know down below. Okay, so those are the books that I read this month and the books that I plan on reading next month. Again, let me know if you have read any of these books and what you thought of them, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!